Hello students, so I am back with another chapter. This is the last chapter from Vistas and the title is Memories of Childhood. Here under this title there are two stories and these two stories are written by two different writers. We already have one more story like this where we have two stories, and that is Lost Spring. But that story is actually written by, or we can say those two stories were written by one writer only. But here we are having two different writers. So first part is, though both the stories are having memories of childhood only, and this first part is written by Zitkala-Sa, whose real name was Gertrude Simon Bonnet, and this was the pen name for the writer. And this is American Indian writer, and she, we can say, she can be taken as lifelong, okay, advocate of rights of the Native Americans. So she just wanted to fight against the prejudices, and we can say here it is race prejudices. Okay, so because here she found, and few lines you can take it from here only, that last line of intro is given, and in the second para last line, that her life as a Native American woman was dedicated against the evils of oppression. So here means she never wanted to be oppressed, and that's why she raised her voice against any kind of oppression. And here in this story she's talking about, we can say, one school, okay, and this school is, we can say, Carsley School, and it was a boarding school. And when she went to that boarding school, then only she felt that here prejudices take place, discrimination, race discrimination is there. So she talks about this boarding school and her experience. And this boarding school, we can say, somewhere in Europe. Okay, so now we are starting with this. And the first title, the first part of the story is titled as Cutting Off My Long Hair, because here this episode takes place cutting of the long hair, and it was just a rule of the school that people, means girls, cannot have long hair. And that's why when she came to this school, she was having good long hair, but she had to go according to the authorities, which she did not actually first of all want it. Okay, she did not want that her hair should, beautiful hair should go, but ultimately she had to surrender. But she is now talking about that episode, and she told her, she's trying to say that it was not easy for her to accept, and that's why afterwards also she always fought for the rights of Native Americans. So we start the story. The first day in the land of apples was a bitter cold one. So this is winter season. Okay, and the place was very, very cold place where the school was, this boarding school was. And here she had to face certain discriminations, and that also maybe on the very, very first day or first week only. The first day in the land of apples was a bitter cold one, for the snow still covered the ground. There was snow all around the place. Okay, though naturally that way it was a beautiful place, but she did not enjoy this place. And the trees were bare. Because of the cold, the trees were bare. A large bell rang for breakfast. And here she is trying to hint at that everything was actually guided. Every activity was guided activity, and especially it was guided by the bell ringing. Means ringing of the bell will tell that what you are supposed to do now. So this way. So a large bell rang for breakfast, its loud metallic voice crashing through the belfry overhead and into our sensitive ears. So it was a large bell because it was a boarding school, and the thing was the bell was meant to reach to each and everybody's room. So it was a large bell and heavy sound. So this sound, first of all, will tell that now you are supposed to come out of your room and walk towards dining area. The annoying clatter of shoes on bare floors gave us no peace. So this is what happened on the very first day. She didn't know, but suddenly there was a large bell and the heavy sound, and everybody came out, and now everybody started walking towards the dining. And that's why she said annoying clatter. Naturally everyone is walking, and naturally there was sound of the shoes, and she did not like the sound of the shoes also. Okay, it was a clatter. Okay, very noisy sound it was. She was, it's not that sweet sound it was. And she, that's why first of all from this point only she felt that this is very annoying thing, very annoying place. Okay, and there was no peace. From here only maybe she started feeling that she cannot live, okay, over here. The constant clash of harsh noises with an undercurrent of many voices, murmuring, an unknown tongue. Now, actually, when the students were walking towards the dining area, they were actually maybe told that they cannot speak loudly. And that's why there was whispering only. Everybody wanted to talk, but because of maybe the orders, or maybe the guidance was like that only, that you are not supposed to talk loudly, or you're not even supposed to talk. That's why it was only whispering. And maybe from this point also she was feeling annoyed that why can't they talk. Okay, and that also, why can't they talk loudly. So this whispering, this murmuring, it was more disturbing to her, made a bedlam within which I was securely tied. And she said that everybody was walking and walking towards the dining only, and they were talking also. And she said, and I was feeling so uncomfortable. Okay, and she was trying to hide herself from the people's eyes, and she never wanted, because it was the first day, she never wanted it people should stare at him, because this is a normal thing that whenever you are new to some new place, actually everybody would stare. So this is what she also felt on that day, and that's why she was securely tied and she was trying to hide herself, okay, within those that group. And though my spirit tore itself in struggling for its lost freedom, it all was useless. And from here only, maybe she was feeling that she cannot live in this atmosphere. Okay, so that spirit, her inner self was here only, was craving for freedom, but it was not possible because she had just come and she was supposed to complete her studies over here. A pale faced woman. So this pale faced woman can be warden. So a pale faced woman with white hair came up after us. So now warden also came. We were placed in a line of girls who were marching into the dining room. They were Indian girls in stiff shoes and closely clinging dresses, very tight dresses. So she saw Indian girls also, and they were in very tight dresses. The small girls wore sleeved aprons, so, and shingled hair. And this also she noticed that those who were very young girls like her, okay, they were not wearing tight clothes, rather they were wearing sleeved aprons. Okay, means full sleeve aprons they were wearing. But she noticed one more thing, that was shingled hair, means very short hair they all were having. The small girls, sorry, as I walked noiselessly in my soft moccasins, and at that time she was wearing moccasins, okay, so it's a kind of belly which doesn't give that sound, okay, so she was wearing moccasins, that's why noiselessly she was walking. I felt like sinking to the floor, for my blanket had been stripped from my shoulders. So here blanket can be shawl she was wearing, and it was slipping down, and because she was walking in a line, and maybe she was not supposed to stop and maybe do something, and that's why she was continuously walking, and she was feeling also that the shawl was dripping down. But even then, and then suddenly she noticed that people were staring at her, okay, and that's why she felt like sinking to the floor, means she felt very bad because people were staring because she was new, and second thing because her shawl was maybe slipping down. I looked hard at the Indian girls, who seemed not to care what they were, that they were even more immodestly dressed than I. Now she noticed that maybe these girls, they were looking at her, staring at her, maybe because the shawl was slipping down, and she noticed it and she knew it. And then she also looked at them, and maybe she was trying to give them a message that it's not that I'm looking very bad because my shawl is slipped down. Actually, your dress sense is also very awful. Means it's, you are also not looking very good, but it's better you look at yourself. So this way, this was the first experience that seniors looked at her, and she was feeling that yes, she cannot live at this place. In there, okay, and she was trying to show that yes, you are more immodest, you are looking more immodest than I. in their tightly fitting clothes. Why? Because they were wearing very tight fitting clothes, and she was trying to give this message that you are looking bad, not me that way. While we marched in, the boys entered at an opposite door. And this was also the rule that girls and boys, they were not entering from the same door. So from one side they entered, and from the other side boys entered. I watched for the three young braves who came in our party. So what? Who are these three young braves? Means three boys. Okay, who were also Native American, and she noticed that yes, yesterday also when these newcomers they all had gathered at one place, so she had noticed these three boys also. So now these boys came. I spied them in the rear ranks, looking as uncomfortable as I felt. And now, what she noticed, she spied means she tried to notice what, and what she noticed that even these boys were also feeling very uncomfortable, like her. Okay, so they were also not feeling comfortable. A small bell was tapped, and at that time only, at the entrance, when they all entered from the opposite doors, so there was another bell. A small bell was tapped, and each of the pupils drew a chair from under the table. And with this bell only, she noticed that everyone drew the chair from under the table, and she also did it. Supposing this act meant they were to be seated, I pulled out mine and at once slipped into it from one side. And she said, because I thought that okay, maybe this is the bell says that you take out your chair and you sit down. And that's why she also took out her chair, pulled out her chair, and she sat down. But when I turned my head, I saw that I was the only one seated, and all the rest at our table remained standing. And then she said, then only I noticed that no one was sitting. She was the only one. So it means this first bell was just to say that yes, you can take out your or you can pull out your chairs, but still everybody was standing. And again, she felt very bad that because she could not understand all these things. So we can say that maybe here she was feeling out of place because she was not knowing all these rules, though it was her first day. Even then, from here only she had started feeling that she is out of place. So I think we should stop here. Okay, from here only I will continue in my next video. Thank you.